You ever have one of those days where you're so lazy that ordering takeout feels like a major accomplishment? Yeah, me too. But one night my laziness and a smart mouth almost got me killed by a bunch of dudes who had way too much time on their hands and zero sense of humor. My life was the definition of low stakes. No wife, no kids, no dog, no drama. I had a maid job, a few buddies, and a couch that had a permanent imprint of my ass. My biggest ambition most days was making it to the drive-thru before my stomach started eating itself. One night after a long shift, the thought of cooking felt like running a marathon. So I did what any self-respecting lazy man would do. I hit up Paco Panda, this sketchy but amazing Chinese spot by the gas station. I grabbed my sesame chicken, cranked the heat in my beat-up sedan, my genius food warmer hack, and pointed it home. At a red light, some clowns in a busted-up sedan pulled up next to me. Dudes looked like they were cast in a low-budget crime movie. The passenger yells, "You look like you beat off to cartoons, bro." Now normally I'd just roll my eyes and move on, but I was hungry and tired. So, without thinking, I fired back. "Is that something you know a lot about? You like cartoon come time?" Big mistake. Huge. The light turned green. I punched it. But they followed me. Not like in the movies, just steadily. I tried to lose them, taking random turns, but they matched me, move for move. My hands got slick on the wheel. I finally pulled into my driveway, thinking, they'll get bored, right? Wrong. 3 of them got out and surrounded my car. They kicked my door, denting it, and just loitered in my yard, sizing up my life like it was a garage sale they wanted to trash. After what felt like forever, they left. I went inside, double-locked the door, and eventually my heart rate dropped. I chalked it up to me being an idiot and them being bored kids. By midnight I was in my boxers, playing a shooter game, totally zen. Then I heard the footsteps, heavy, on my driveway. I peeked through the blinds. Same car, same guys. This time, one of them was holding something metal. They started pounding on my front door, screaming for me to come out and say that again. My rental-grade door wasn't gonna hold. Panic shot through me like a lightning bolt. I had no gun, no plan, just a kitchen full of dull knives and a lifetime of regret. Then I remembered 2 things buried in my closet: a cheap, unsharpened katana I bought at a state fair, and a rubber demon mask from an old Halloween costume. It was the dumbest idea I've ever had, but it was the only one I had. I shoved the stinky mask on my face, gripped the sword, and slipped out the back door. Barefoot, in my boxers, I charged around the side of the house like a complete maniac, swinging the sword over my head and letting out a screech that didn't even sound human. The look on their faces was priceless. One of them screamed. The big tough guy tripped over his own feet. They fell all over each other, scrambling back to their car, and peeled out like the devil himself was on their tail. I stood there in my wet yard, a half-naked demon with a fake sword, and realized I'd just weaponized my own weirdness. I still get takeout. I still live alone. But now I keep a real baseball bat by the door, and I never, ever mouth off to strangers at red lights. Sometimes the best defense is a good, utterly unhinged offense. Back in my city days, I moved apartments like it was a sport. The last one was in a decent enough brick duplex, but it came with one hell of a neighbor. The guy across the hall, Ray, was built like a fridge and had a temper that could start a fire. The fights with his girlfriend started small, then escalated into a nightly horror show. Yelling, crashing, and that sickening wet sound of a slap that would make your stomach turn. I called the cops twice. They'd show up, ask a few questions, and leave. It was a useless ritual. Then came the night her screams weren't just scared, they were pure terror. Don't. Please don't. Don't do that again. I called 911 again, and they gave me the same runaround. So I did something stupid. I decided to be a hero. I crossed the hall and pounded on the door. It flew open, and there he was, shirtless, sweating, eyes wild with rage. What the fuck do you want? Look, she's screaming, man. I called the cops. Enough is enough, I said, trying to sound tougher than I felt. He didn't say a word, just grabbed my shirt, yanked me off my feet, and slammed me into the hallway wall. The world went white. A fist connected with my jaw, and I was on the floor. He kicked me in the stomach, and I swear I felt my lungs bruise. I was crawling, scrambling backwards toward my apartment like a wounded animal. I caught a glimpse of her in their doorway, nose bleeding, screaming at me to run, but her voice was already hollow, like a ghost's. I barely got my door shut and the chain lock on before he was on the other side, trying to beat it down. The wood splintered, the chain snapped, and the door gave way. He stood there, calm now, which was somehow scarier. You should have just minded your own business, he said. He beat me until I blacked out. I came to in my own bedroom, on my mattress, my blood soaking the sheets. And then he did the most chilling thing of all. He leaned down, pulled the blanket up, and tucked me in like a goddamn child. Don't knock on my door again, he whispered. Then he took the spare key I kept by the door. If I hear you say a word to anybody, I'll come in while you're sleeping and slit your throat. He left. I laid there until morning, listening to every creak, every car door, certain he was coming back. I didn't call the cops. What was I gonna say? I got my ass kicked for playing Captain Save-A-Ho. I paid to break my lease, left most of my furniture behind. I couldn't even look at that bloody mattress, and got the hell out. Now, I triple-check my locks. I flinch when the pipes knock, and I never, ever get involved. The world tells you to speak up, but it never tells you that sometimes the price for being a good neighbor is a broken jaw and the haunting memory of being tucked in by the man who just tried to end you. When I was 15, I was living in Pakistan with my grandparents. My family in the States was going through it, so my mom sent me away for what was supposed to be a little while. But I loved it there. I embraced the culture, learned the language. It became home. Our house was always buzzing with family, neighbors, and help. It was normal to have domestic workers around. My grandparents had this guy, Basher, who had his own little quarters outside. Everyone else thought he was fine, but my gut always screamed, nope. I'd gotten into the habit of locking every door behind me, just in case. One afternoon, I was chilling in my aunt's room, watching her private TV. A major luxury. I had no idea I was completely alone in the house. Everyone was out. Then came the knock, loud, urgent. It was Basher. Open the door. I have something for you, he said, his voice tight. No, thank you, I replied. Then I need to ask you something, he insisted. Ask me through the door. He didn't. Instead, he started jiggling the knob, hard, pushing against the frame. My heart tried to punch its way out of my chest. I was trapped. The phone was useless without the directory downstairs. I looked out the window. No one. I ran to the attached bathroom, locked both bolts, and climbed up to the high window, ready to scream for the neighbor's help. Just as I was about to yell, I heard my grandmother's voice calling my name from the hallway. She'd realized her mistake and rushed back. I never told her what happened. The whole thing lasted 20 minutes, but it was a lifetime of terror. Years later, I was back visiting from the US. My mom and aunts, all giggles, said I had a surprise visitor. I walked into the living room, and there he was, Basher. He looked rough, bloodshot eyes, a dazed stare. He just looked at me with this creepy intensity. I kept my cool, said, "I heard you got married, congratulations," and got the hell out of there. He never knew what he was up against that day. He thought I was just some easy target American girl, but he was wrong. I grew up with 2 older brothers and had been doing karate since I was 6. My instructor called me Little Tiger. If he'd gotten through that door, he wouldn't have found a scared girl. He would have found the tiger, and he would have lost. That day didn't break me. It just showed me the fighter I always was.